Hi everyone, and welcome back to my next part in my series on, PDF accessibility, but today we're taking another detour to talk about another really important kind of document accessibility. I'm, of course, if you can see my screen, talking about PowerPoint. So, of course, PowerPoint at UCLA is another very important kind of document that gets created a lot. So today I'd like to go over how to make these more accessible. Luckily for us, this is actually a lot easier, once again, than in PDF than in Adobe Acrobat, just because we do have a lot more control over the actual content of the slides. So, first things first, I want to show everybody how to use the accessibility checker within PowerPoint. Of course, PDF has its own accessibility checker, and most document creation tools will have their own checker. So how do we do this? At least in my version, there's something called Review. There's this tab called Review at the top. And then I can just click this Check Accessibility, and bam, I'm already at this place that shows me all my errors. So let's just quickly run through all the slides so I can give you an idea of the presentation. So first I'm going to be talking about alt text, two different pictures of cute pets, cute animals, and then we're going to be talking about tables, and then finally talking about color contrast. So that's just an idea of what we're going to be talking about as far as all the slides are going. But now we have an idea of what is inaccessible about our presentation just by looking at the errors here. So let's look at this first error, missing alternative text. And that brings us to our first image here, which is of this first very cute cat. So in fact, what's really nice about this accessibility checker is that it even gives you descriptions of what the issue is, why to fix it, and how to fix it. So of course, let's just see here. Alt text I've talked about a lot in my series so far, but long story short, one sentence summary, alt text is just an image description so that people who can't see the screen, who rely on screen readers, can get a description of the image. So in order to place alt text with these images, we need to just right-click the image, go to Format Picture, click this little picture tab right here. Oh, sorry, I guess it's this size and properties tab over here. And then you can just see alt text. And then we can write in the description, a cute cat. So this is just my alt text for this picture. There's not much else going on to this picture other than the fact that there's a cute cat. And that's it. I can just hit save. And if I go back to my accessibility checker, you'll see that one of my missing alt text, the one from slide 2, is completely gone. Great. In fact, now we have to go on to slide 4. You might not know this, and this is a little different maybe from Adobe Acrobat, from PDFs, but we also do have to set alt text for to tables that I have in my document. So in order to do that, you can even see that I can just right-click here, Format Shape, and then I can just click on the same looking button here. This place looks a little different just because we're not talking about alt text, just because we're not talking about an image, but the size and properties still remains here, and I can still write my alt text for this table, and it's just sort of a description of the table. So this description of the table is number of hours I've worked for each weekday. Simple enough, just another description of the overall, almost like the title of the table, to describe what the table overall shape is and what it's trying to describe. Great, and you can see that now my alt text has completely the alt text error has completely gone away because I've set the alt text for everything. In fact, you might be curious about this image, but I believe this image already has its own alt text. It's worth checking the alt text for every. See, this is exactly what I thought. So this is why it's worth checking for the alt text of every image that you have, in case you missed anything. Because I copied this image from a random website, it automatically copied over the URL, which it's better than nothing for an alt text, but I think we can do better. Something that's a lot more concise than this entire giant URL is just a cute dog. Simple as that. So even if it doesn't show up on the checker, I do recommend looking over at least taking a cursory glance at all the different images to make sure that they all have appropriate alt text. Great. So next, I actually want to talk about this table has no header rows thing going on. So what are header rows? They're essentially just the title of each column and the title of each row. In fact, let me fill in the rest of this table because I think I forgot to write these in Thursday. I'm not going to have anything in these cells because I want to leave them blank because I don't work on Tuesdays or Thursdays. Either way, I wanted to talk about this header row idea, and this actually helps a lot more with the structure of tables, of how the table is read by a screen reader. So how do I set table headers? I go into table design once I'm selected on the table up here near the top. And then I click on header row, and that designates this top row, this Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, the weekdays, to be the headers for each of these columns. So this is the Monday column, this is the Tuesday column, this is the Wednesday column, so on and so forth. Furthermore, I also want to make sure that so yeah, that's all I need to do. Just make sure that you're using these header rows. In fact, I believe that if you create a table manually, it should just insert these header row automatically. Yeah, so as you can see, when I made a completely new table, the red top header row has been created for me automatically, which is great. So I don't even have to think about this too often. Just make sure that if you do have it, that it's there. So let me just delete this table because I don't need it for the overall presentation. Yep, and so now all the errors are gone. There are just a couple more littler things that I wanted to make sure that we discuss because they can also really help people who need screen readers. So this is going to be duplicate slide text, a slide title. So what are the slide titles? They're essentially just whatever you set as the title up here near the top of your slide. You can also see the title if you mouse over any of your individual slides. You can see that under the tooltip right under my mouse, it says alt text, which is the title of this slide. And for example, this number 4 is called tables because that's what I've set for the title of the slide. However, the issue comes when we have both this alt text slide for slide number 2 and also another slide called alt text for slide number 3. So we have duplicate slide titles, two that are the same. So in this case, this is very annoying for screen readers because they want to look through all the different slide titles, and if they see duplicates, it can be kind of annoying to find the exact one that they want to see, that the user wants to see. So I encourage you to, instead of just saying alt text, say something like alt text parentheses continued. If there's only 2 slides, or maybe if there's even more slides, you can say alt text -2 to show that this is the second slide that has to do with alt text. And that differentiates these 2 slides between part 1 and part 2. And so this can be something that can really help screen readers to navigate your slides. The final tip that it says here is going to be check reading order on slide number 3. So you might remember reading order, in fact, from when we've talked about PowerPoint. This is when we talked about PDF. This is something that comes up a lot there. However, there's a slightly different way of doing it in this PowerPoint, but actually it's a lot more interesting. So the way we fix this, you can even read the steps to fix. Go to this Home tab and click Arrange over here once you're on the slide that you want to be talking about. And when I click Arrange, look at this. And then you have to click Reorder Objects. But look at this. Ooh, very fancy view over here. This is really interesting. One really annoying quirk is that I believe the reading order is from the bottom up, so it actually would go 3, 2, 1 rather than 1, 2, 3. But you can see already there's a strange issue here. Just this number 2 is completely blank. It's because I didn't delete the text box that was underneath this image that you might have missed. So this is something that, we want to make sure there's as little blank stuff as possible, even if a sighted user can easily glance over it, screen readers won't be glancing over it. They read everything. They don't miss a thing. So they'll read the blank spot, and that can be a bit confusing to the screen reader user. So why not just delete it? It's not helping really any of the sighted users. So all I have to do is I'll just move my image out of the way for a bit. Then I select my text box underneath and just hit delete. And now the text box is gone. Move my image back into place, hit Arrange, and look at that. Perfect. We've gotten rid of the middle text box. And so we will just be reading the title and then the image on top of it. Great. And so the last thing I wanted to talk about, I know it's not showing up on the checker. Sometimes it actually does, so it's actually good to talk about. You'll know that this is an actual real issue that you should be looking out for, is the color contrast. Once again, I've already mentioned this exact topic in PDFs, but this is something that we have a little bit more control over now that we're making a PowerPoint. We can change the font color to be whatever we want without too much trouble. So I want to just show you this exact slide, which I mean, I'm not sure. Can you read this? That's what the text says. Can you read this? Maybe when I highlight it, you can to change the background color. But this kind of text is very hard to read, even for me as a basically fully sighted person. I know that this is an extreme example, and that maybe your color is a bit different, and maybe this is still fine to read, but you want to use this kind of red color. However, you have to keep in mind that for people who are low vision, color contrast is even more of an issue, and especially in very, very visual mediums like PowerPoint, where there's a lot of colors going on, you do have to be pretty mindful about what kind of colors you're using. So once again, as always, I will recommend the standard WebAIM color contrast checker in order to check your color contrast. And I would just make sure that your color contrast ratio is high enough. And this goes especially for PowerPoint when you might have different color backgrounds or a lot of different images going on. So, even this dark red color, if I'm not going to take the time to put in the entire hex value because that'd take a while. But I wouldn't be surprised if this red color, even if I can currently read it, would be a bit too difficult to read for somebody who has lower vision. So I'm just going to switch this back to completely white, which is, I believe I've already checked that this white color that we've been using in the past year is also very accessible, or very contrastful for the background. So yeah, that's all the issues I wanted to go over in this first part of PowerPoints. There might be a video later on some more specialized topics for PowerPoint, so stay tuned for that. But for now, thank you for watching, and see you in the next one. Bye-bye.